This is Into Math 3rd grade, lesson 16.2. Represent equivalent fractions with larger parts. I can represent a fraction with equal parts that are larger in size than the equal parts of an equivalent fraction. Please gather your workbook and a pencil and turn to page 426. We will start under Build Understanding. At soccer practice, Coach Penny draws a diagram in which she divides the field into 8 equal-sized zones. The 6 zones closest to the goal are the scoring zones. Use Coach Penny's diagram to show the area she uses for the scoring zones. So we see the diagram where Coach Penny has drawn the goal here, and she has drawn 8 equal-sized zones, and she's saying that we need to take those 6 zones that are closest to the goal and call those the scoring zones. So that's going to be these 6 squares. We would call this the scoring zone, according to Coach Penny's drawing, because those are the closest squares to the goal. So we'll go ahead and fill those in. And now we need to read more the next section. Coach Ruiz divides the same field into 4 equal-sized zones. Coach Ruiz's scoring zones are the 3 zones closest to the goal. Use Coach Ruiz's diagram to show the area he uses for the scoring zones. So again, we have on this is Coach Ruiz, and here's the goal, but this time they don't divide the sections for us, so we need to do that first. And what we learned from reading this was that Coach Ruiz divides the same field into 4 equal-sized zones. So we're going to go ahead and divide his diagram into 4 equal zones. I'm going to draw the middle one first because that always helps me, and then I'll draw one here and one here, and now I've created 4 equal zones. Now I need to go back to what I was given the information, and I find that there were 3 zones closest to the goal that he uses for the scoring zones. So again, here's the goal, and so we need to color in the 3 zones closest to the goal. And we know that this is the first one, and the second one, and the third one here. So we're going to color those sections in because they are the closest to the goal according to Coach Ruiz and his sections that he has. All right, now we're ready to take a look at part A. What fraction can you write for the area of the field that Coach Penny uses for the scoring zones? So here we have Coach Penny's in red, and we know that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 equal parts. So that's going to be our denominator. And then how many are shaded? That's right, there were 6 zones and there are 6 shaded. So our fraction, and that's going to be what's on the numerator, so our fraction is going to be 6 over 8. Now we're ready to look at part B. What fraction can you write to represent Coach Ruiz's scoring zones? So we go over to Coach Ruiz's scoring zones, and we find that there are 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 zones, so that's going to be 4 equal parts as our denominator. And then how many are colored in or shaded? There are 3. So Coach Ruiz's scoring zone fraction is 3 over 4. Now we'll take a look at part C. How do the fractions compare for the area of Coach Penny and Coach Ruiz's scoring zones? Explain. Well, just like we've seen in the past, this section here that's Coach Penny's scoring zone and this section here that's Coach Ruiz's scoring zone, these are equivalent. They are the same. So when we compare 6/8 to 3/4, we're going to find that they are equal because both scoring zones cover the same area. Let's take a look at the next page, page 427, part 2. Two relay teams race across Lomas Park. The red team divides the distance equally among 6 runners. The blue team divides the distance equally among 3 runners. Part A, show how both teams divide the race into equal distances. You are welcome to pause the video and try this on your own and come back, or just follow along with me. Okay, we know that the red team is going to divide their distance by 6 runners. So we can divide the red team into 6 equal parts. And then we're going to take a look at the blue team. And the blue team divides the distance equally among 3 runners. So we can divide the blue team into 3 equal parts. Now let's take a look at part B. The first 4 runners of the red team and the first 2 runners of the blue team complete their parts of the race. Use the drawings to show the distances that the teams complete. Okay, so this is a lot of information again. So we have the red team. They have the first 4 runners complete. So we can complete 4 of the 6 distances for the red team. Then we take a look at the information for the blue team, and only 2 runners complete their parts of the race. So we can go ahead and fill in 2 parts for the blue team. So we're going to go ahead and fill in those 2 sections in blue. Now let's take a look at part C. Locate and draw a point to show how much of the race each team completes. Complete the number line and show the fractions. So you may pause and try this part on your own and come back, or just follow along with me. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is look up top here, and we see that there are 0/6 at the start of the number line, and at the end it's 6/6, which would complete the race. So what we're going to do now is we're going to just go through and make 1 fraction for every point here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we have 6/6 here, and we started with 0/6 here. And then we're going to go to the bottom, and again you'll notice here that there's 0/3 and 3/3, which is whole, and we have the same amount of space that we did for the 6. So we are going to group them into 3 parts. So this would be 1 of the 3 parts. This would be 2 of the 3 parts, and then we have 3 of the 3 parts already written for us, and we started with 0, which was the beginning. Okay, so now we have we've completed the number line, and now we need to show the fraction. So the fraction we created, if we look up top here, we had 6 parts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That was 6 parts, and how many are shaded? There are 4 of the 6 shaded. So that's 1 fraction that we need to make. And then if we go to the blue team, there's 1, 2, 3 equal parts, and how many are shaded? 2. So we have 2 fractions, 4/6 and 2/3, and they're both located here on the number line. So we're going to go ahead and make the dot on the number line. The last part D asks, how do the fractions of the race that each team competes compare? Which team competes more of the race? Explain. If we take a look at the number line, we see that 4/6 and 2/3 are at the same point on the number line, which means they are equal. So both teams compete the same distance because the fractions are the same distance from 0. If you would like to go back and rewatch this video, you may do so, and you can pause along the way anytime as needed.